What's up, y'all? Back here for this Jim Dandy. Now, as most of you know, this race is heavily favored for sovereignty. And as I like to say, there's four different kinds of horse races when you're looking at betting. There's races with no strong favorite. There's races with one strong favorite, races with two strong favorites, and there's races with a heavy favorite. Last weekend. Um, we've got five horses here, sovereignty heavily favored, but we do have horses that are contenders. Two horses he's seen before in Baeza and Sandman. Um, and we got Hill Road, who he's seen before in the Belmont, and Moplex, who's a newcomer. Actually, yes, he has not faced uh, Moplex just yet. So let's go ahead and get into these horses here. It's only five of them here. Race is jumping off at 5:41 Eastern Daylight Time, and yes, they are going to have a superfecta pool for this five-horse race. The number one is Baeza, 3-1 in the morning odds here. A lot of people like this horse. They like him almost as much as they like journalism. Um, However, after having lost to sovereignty twice, just like journalism having lost to sovereignty twice, a lot more people are on that sovereignty bandwagon now, but there's still a lot of Baeza fans out there. Horse sired by McKinsey. His mother is Puka, who is the mother of Dornoch and Mage. A lot of you know that. Kentucky Derby winner 2 years ago with Mage, and then Dornoch last year's Belmont Stakes winner, and the mile and a quarter Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. So Baeza out of those horses, given Street Sense and Big Brown being his grandfathers. Now that's just really strong. I give him a 7 for his breeding score. That's a very high breeding score, and it shows the horse. He looks like a big young horse. Baeza still looks like he's growing into form a lot like Mindframe did last year. Uh, will he break out in this race? I don't know. Uh, really, when you look at his workout times, he has decent workouts now, but they're not up or down necessarily from what you would want to see. A lot of his workouts are handily. I take 2 seconds off those handily times because they're questionable. Taking 2 seconds off, in my opinion, is a lot more accurate, and that's where I have him. I have him being in good form, um, but not really necessarily ready to jump off the page. Now you have horses like Gosker last time when he came into that Preakness, there wasn't much to see other than that he had a decent win. Um, when you look at speed figures and a decent win over an inferior class, you really don't know how much better that horse could be unless he's really like a front runner trying to outrun them. They can just kind of come and just beat those inferior horses without giving it their best effort, which is why these speed figures got to be careful with them. However, when a horse is running after a horse like Sovereignty, as Baeza was in his last two races, um, he's given a full effort. I gave him a 107 in both of his last races. He ran the same, even though he was, third in that Belmont Stakes 6 lengths off, third in the Kentucky Derby half a length off. He's or a quarter. He's still got a 107. I gave him for both races. His score I gave him in the Santa Anita Derby was a 102. He was second behind journalism in that one. He ran behind journalism in the Kentucky Derby by running third. Journalism was second. And then the same thing in that mile and a quarter Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. So he's kind of almost shown that he is in that next class. I guess you would, if you want to call Sovereignty a triple A and journalism a double A, he's a single A horse, which would put him there with the Goskers of the world. Goal oriented, ran an impressive race in the Haskell. Don't know if he's quite there. Now, here's the angle. If you like Baeza and you're looking to beat Sovereignty, um, Hector Barrios is jumping aboard him. Flavian Pratt, don't necessarily know that he got fired. He's riding Nisos, but he's never won. He's only run third twice. Hector Barrios is the only jockey that's won on this horse. He won with his maiden at a mile in Santa Anita. He earned a 91 speed figure there. Um, Barrios kind of got fired to prove that he never should have been taken off of this horse. I know I would be thinking that if I were in this situation. So Hector Barrios, that's an angle if you're looking to go with this horse, to go back with that jockey changing with the jockey change to a jockey that has won on him before. And Barrios is having a decent year this year, over 20% in his wins. Now, the number two, another interesting case to beat Sovereignty is the two Sandman. I almost think I like him better, maybe than Baeza, and here's why. Now, Sandman, we know, great breeding, sired by Tappet, whose father's Pulpit, which makes his great grandfather, or his grandfather's Pulpit, great grandfather's AP Indy. Grandfather on his mother's side is distorted humor. Uh, so you've got really strong breeding. He gets a 6, which is 1 point below that 7 that Baeza gets. Now blinkers on. I usually think that I don't like blinkers on because to me, I usually see equipment changes as they're grasping at straws. So I don't really even pay too much attention to that. I said it because it's a thing. Um, Blinkers on. I almost look at it as a negative sometimes. However, I wipe out that negative though because of some other things. Now, when you look at this horse, 6-1 in the morning hours. It's Mark Cassie, the trainer. Jose Ortiz. He's won this race before. He's riding this horse. He's got a win in this horse on this horse before in that Arkansas Derby. Last out, this horse ran in the Preakness. Good close. He's a closer, as we know. Good close. Just couldn't beat Journalism in Gosker. Third place. Before that, seventh in the Kentucky Derby. Anybody that knows any better knows that. Not that you want to throw out the Kentucky Derby, but you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt because it's a lot going on in that race, and the speed figures can be a bit lower. I gave him a what is that? I gave him there a 90. Yeah. Um, Now, before that, his win was in the Arkansas Derby, leading up to that third in the Rebel. Before that, second in the Southwest Stakes. So the horse has progressed. For my speed figures, he had 85 in that Southwest and bumped up to a 98, then 100, then fell back in the Kentucky Derby. Lots of traffic there. But a 105 I gave him in that Preakness. The other thing I like about him is his workouts improved. He put up his best workout here on the 5th of July. Uh, when you look at his workouts in conjunction to these races, he hasn't run since the Preakness. He came out his first workout past him in 50-second. That was kind of what he runs anyway, which I don't think 50 seconds is good, even though there's horses like Sovereignty never works out extremely well. But he's just fast and he's big and strong and blah blah blah. So workouts you don't necessarily want to strike a horse because of bad workouts, but good workouts or improving workouts are something you want to look at. Now I see Sovereignty or Sandman rather here. He comes out after having that 26th of June of 47-second breezing at 4. Then he busts out that best workout he's ever had with the 59-second 5 furlong on the 5th. And then I've an experience. Now I haven't heard a trainer myself say it, but going into the race, they tell the jockey not to work the horse as hard because they don't want the workout time to be that good on the page because they want the price up on the horse. Um, it's not unheard of, and so because it's not unheard of, it's an angle. He busted out this 47, then a 59, and then he comes back with a 49, which he's kind of back to his old form, but it's still better than that 50 that he put out coming off of the layoff of the Preakness. I think Sandman's in good shape. As we know, these are all 3-year-olds still growing. He's going to be closing, probably going to be at the back of the pack, and he's probably going to be the only horse behind Sovereignty. And I think that may work to his advantage. Number 3, another horse that could have an advantage if you're looking for this angle. The number 3, 10-1 in the morning odds, Moplex. Going to be ridden by Manny Franco. Now, Moplex has ridden him before. He didn't ride him last out in that Ohio Derby win he had. But Manny Franco rode him in the Bayshore. 7 furlong race there, which he had an impressive win, a 101 speed figure I gave him there. Had a 97 in that Ohio Derby without too much competition. Um, 3 races back, he was third in the Gander. Manny Franco rode him there. Before that, second in Sleepy Hollow. Um, and then going back before that, third in the Champagne. Now I heard I was listening to the guy in Past the Wire. Yeah, he was talking about how you shouldn't read the form um, going backwards. Now, while I do read the form going backwards, I go backwards and then bring it forward because you do want to see the progression of the horse's career. Um, this Champagne Stakes, he was beaten by Chancellor McPatrick and uh, Tip Top Thomas, who ran in that Indiana Derby, winner of that Indiana Derby with a good time. So that's probably the best competition he faced. A little weaker competition he had, and then came back with a win in the Bayshore, and then the win in the Ohio Derby. He's a New York bred, though. Horses Out of Complexity. That's a McLean's music horse. Mother's father's Uncle Mo. So yeah, I gave him a 1 point. Most points I could give him is a 2. That's tough competition when you're looking at a horse like Baeza that I have bred extremely well with a 7, and then Sandman with a 6. I've also got Sovereignty with a 6. So Moplex might be outclassed. His advantage, he's most likely going to be the only speed in the race. He is on paper the only front runner. Did a 46 and a 110 and a 45 with a 111 in previous races running up front. That's a legitimate front runner, in my opinion. He's going to be out there. He's going to try to steal this one. The difficulty, I think he might be able to steal it from just a Hill Road or a Sandman or a Baeza. Flex up here to take him out. I think Barrios is probably going to go for that lead. Maybe a little bit earlier than he should, but that I think is going to be Moplex's strategy. Uh, Hopefully, from a Baeza, or he doesn't fall for the bait where he gets out there. If he's going to try to steal this one, he can get out there, try to burn a little distance. When Barrios tries to bait him. Now, the number 4, Hill Road, all right. 12 to 1 in the morning odds with this one. Horses out of Quality Road. So you're looking at Elusive Quality and Lemon Drop Kid for the grandfathers on this one. Breeding a 3. Hill Road, I think he's just a miler. I think he's right behind the rest of these horses. He's like the Goscar and the goal oriented. And, the Chancellor McPatrick's and, a lot of these horses we've seen this year just can't quite keep up with journalism and sovereignty. Now, maybe in a different year, he is a mile and an eighth, mile and a quarter horse. I just don't think so. Now, we're putting Irad Ortiz Jr. back on him. He's ridden him before, rode him in the Belmont Stakes, lost. His win was with Flavian Pratt. Hey, trained by Chad Brown. If you're a Chad Brown fan, you want to take a chance on this one. I don't recommend it, but maybe you want to go for it, hoping to get lucky. Before he ran in the Belmont Stakes, he did win the Peter Pan Stakes, which is a good prep race for the Belmont. Likes running in New York. Before that, third in the Tampa Bay Derby. Behind he was Owen Almighty in that one. And he also ran the Breeders' Cup, third place in that one, losing to Citizen Bull. I gave him a 104 speed rating for that Belmont Stakes. That was the biggest number I gave him, and I think it is probably his most impressive race, being that he had to lay it all out on the line to try to chase after Sovereignty to no avail. And I don't think it's going to work out for him this time, unless something happens to Sovereignty, or in the off case, and I'll get into that Sovereignty just kind of lays off. Now, the number 5, Sovereignty, as I was just saying, into mischief for us. His grandfathers are Harlan's Holiday and Bernardini, which I think that's why it may make him the best into mischief for us, because with that Bernardini in there, that gives him, I think, his size and that distance quality with the into mischief, which gives him some quickness. Um, he's got the breeding to make him very formidable, and it's shown. 2 to 5 in the morning odds, trained by Bill Mott, ridden by Junior Alvarado. Now, if there's something to find that you don't like about the horse, it's the workouts. The 48-second workout, two works back, is about what you want to see for Sovereignty. His last couple of 102 and a 49. If you want to find a sign to say that he's not back up to speed, maybe he does kind of fall back to these and then get back up to the 48 range. And he's not there. He's at a 49-second 4 furlong instead of a 48 seconds. So maybe that is a sign that he's not going to run well. You could also say that Bill Mott, very conservative guy, we saw he didn't run him in the Preakness. He might say, hey, this is the Jim Dandy. We just want him to get his feet wet. We want him to get out there and stretch his legs. But the real goal is to win the Travers. You saw he did not have Manny Franco really push him in the Florida Derby. You could blame Franco for that. But I played him in the exact in the Florida Derby, but I had Japan Street to win because I had a feeling that he just wasn't going to perform without Junior Alvarado aboard. He's got Junior Alvarado this time, but he's got every excuse in the world to just kind of take it easy. And Bill Mott's not a guy that worries too much about his record and everything. If he tells it to take, he wants to win, and Jose Ortiz wants to win, but they have more to prove. Sovereignty has nothing to prove, and they might just lay off of him, and you might see him run second or third because of that, because they're really saving the horse for the Travers. It's not unheard of. Last out, he won the Belmont Stakes, 117 speed figure I gave him for that one, in that one. That's right. Winning the Kentucky Derby, second in the Florida Derby before that, winning the Street Sense, which was the telling race where he beat Sandman, and he beat his Tactic in that race. Sovereignty, obviously the best 3-year-old as of right now, but there is an angle to play against him. Now, as far as the pace goes, like I said, Moplex, the only front runner on paper, and I think it's going to stay that way. I got him coming out in the lead, going a 47 flat. I don't think he's going to have to go that fast, and I don't think that Manny Franco is going to try to blow this field away. So, 47 flat for Moplex. Right behind him, I have Baeza, the one close in to the outside, the 4. Hill Road with Irad Ortiz Jr. I think Sovereignty sits just behind them, and bringing up the rear, Sandman. Sandman with Jose Ortiz. After that 47 opening half mile, that's where I think it starts to get juicy. I think Berrios goes for it a bit early. 110 and 3 miles, I've got it clocked at. He's going to go for it. Irad Ortiz Jr. is going to wait a little bit, but he's not going to want to let Baeza get away from him too much because he's still going to think, I've still got to stay ahead of Sovereignty. So he's going to get going a bit after that. I think they're going to get cooking because Moplex will have to cook it up and pick it up. And Junior Alvarado, he likes to keep Sovereignty involved. So I say they got that mile in a 135 and 1. I think all these horses are really going to get going. Probably the fastest race that any of them may have run into their career, except for Sovereignty in that 1.25 Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. So I got Sovereignty pulling ahead of these horses, getting the lead. I think we see a career performance out of Baeza, out of Sandman, maybe even out of Hill Road. But I have Sovereignty for the win. 147 and 3/5 seconds. Second place, Sandman. I think the fact that he's going to be behind Sovereignty, allow him to track that, kind of draft with him, and he's going to run past Baeza, who I think will have gone a bit early. Baeza falls back, gets passed by Sandman. Baeza still runs third. I've got it, and in fourth. I want to know how to bet these. I like Sovereignty on top. So how would I do it? I don't like a win place in this one. Obviously not a show. I think show bets for these heavy favorites like that, or just in case you're trying to wash money or something. Not my case. Exacta. Now, if you think he's going to lose, I would say pick your horse and box him. I would say take Baeza, box him with Sovereignty, and call it. I know a lot of people don't like boxing. I disagree. Three horses in a box, I don't really like that unless they're long. But two horses, if you're just doing the solo box, I think it's fine. Um, as long as you're not throwing a bunch of other horses in there. So if you like Baeza, I'd say box him with Sovereignty. If you like Sandman, as I do, I would say box him with Sovereignty to run second. However, I'm not going to do that. I think I would much rather take it with the Sovereignty up top over the two and the one. So the Sovereignty uh, over Baeza and Sandman. Um, so I'm still picking Sovereignty to win there. As far as a trifecta, if you want to take it up a notch, the way I would play this one is with the key. But instead of keying the top two, like you do if you're going against the favorite, against a heavy favorite, or against a strong favorite, um, you would want to go with him. I'm probably going to do him up front and then do the Baeza Sandman keyed for the 2 and 3 spot. I think that makes more sense in this one. And third, to get a little bit more exotic, um, once again the five up front, Sovereignty, and I would take my 2, 1, and the 4. You know, the Sandman, Baeza, and Hill Road, and play those like a trifecta box. You know, it's 60 cents as a 10 cent, $6 as a $1 super. But that's how I would play those and kind of leave it at that. I wouldn't want to get too crazy. That's the thing with this. It's not worth playing a whole bunch of bets to try to beat a favorite like Sovereignty because he's most likely going to win. Um, and then if you like him, trying to figure out what kind of exotic to play, you don't probably won't want to get too many choices because the payouts are not going to be very good, even if you get a try. Now, I looked at journalism just for comparison. Journalism went off as a 3 to 5 in that last race, and he was uh, 6 to 1 payout, roughly in that exacta for $1 exacta, a 12 to 1, 13 to 1 in a try, and a 67 to 1 in the super. So you don't want to pay too many combinations, but I think if you stick to those combinations, $2 in an exacta, presumably, whatever kind of type of units you play, $2 in that exacta, you go with it would be a $2 in a dollar try play and a $6 super play. I think that would work out for you better than getting too much in there. So let me know what you think in the comment sections as well. I got to hit Publix before they close, and I will see y'all after the race.